All right, we're now recording. Okay, so I didn't see any actions from last week, although I wasn't here last week. Was there anything that was outstanding that needed to be addressed before moving on? I didn't see anything written down, but if in case, just last call in case someone remembers something off the top of their head. Okay. Second agenda item I had was an update on the snowplow migration work. And Dave, you're just in time to answer that one.
Yeah, no, from what I understand, Taylor, I think Cameron had started to work with you. We've got the initial test infrastructure stood up. We're starting to try to send some test data through at the moment. I don't know how that's going other than that. So I'd also tried to point him to Emily and see if we were going to hook up staging to it, get a little bit more data through.
Yeah, Emily's on vacation. He sent me some test data that he had pushed through from the command line. It was it's a bit sparse. It's in the right format. I think we're in the right direction here. So
okay,
forward, it sounds like.
That's good, Dan. Yeah, we're trying to finalize some other infrastructure after that, and hopefully, again, like we talked about before I left, getting onto the stage of next week, trying to and then engage Fishtown and figure out what can we do to stand up the real production infrastructure and split and fork and see if we're getting the same data as they are. So from what I understood from Cameron, I think we're still thinking of trying to do that next week, at least starting that conversation and figure out where we go.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, by this time next week, we'll have production data coming off of Snowplow into our own infrastructure. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, and from what I understood, yeah, I mean, it may be late next week, but yeah, what we were hoping and what we understood from Fishtown is we should be able to set up a way where we're sending production data still to Fishtown and to us so that we can verify things look okay. And then once we know we're good, then we'll turn off Fishtown.
That's good. That's good news. You said by end of next week, is that correct?
Yeah. For the split traffic to be starting to verify that looks okay.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing I put on the agenda was an A/B testing update. Bartek, I see you're typing, but it might be worth a voiceover here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ash has been working on that. We're going to use Flipper to simulate an A/B test. There's a merge request expected by the end of today, our time. So we should be able to have that tested, reviewed, and good to go beginning to mid next week. So that'll basically, 50% of actors will send them down path A, the other 50% down path B, and we're able to visualize the results in Kibana.
Cool. The other thing I'm sure you saw in the issue, but I connected Eli and Ash together from a data visualization perspective. And Eli, thanks for jumping in and offering to help already. So,
yep, great.
It would be preferable for me if we visualized in Periscope rather than Kibana, but I know the data is probably not going to go to Snowflake as we need it to be visualized in Periscope. But I don't know.
We had Kibana because Flipper basically uses the logging mechanism that already goes through there. But let's have that separate conversation around where best to visualize it. I mean, Periscope, you're right, makes sense. Kibana was the easy solution.
Okay, I'll just form it as a question, and we can track it offline then, Bartek.
Sure.
Okay, the next agenda item I had just an update on the 3 experiments. So the first one was the reCAPTCHA harming activation rate. It sounds like this is what we're going to do when we turn on Flipper. Is that correct, Bartek?
That's correct.
Okay. So is it safe to say that this time next week we should have some initial data based on a 50-50 A/B test of half the people going through, the existing flow today and half the people going through the adjusted reCAPTCHA flow?
I expect so. The merge request will be, I expect it to be merged by beginning to mid next week. So depending on whether we can deploy it out of band or I expect so, yes.
Okay, cool.
I mean, Eli, is that also feasible from a data visualization perspective if we go down the Periscope route?
Probably not in Periscope by next week, no. I mean,
Okay.
I still have no idea what the data looks like, so I need to sync with Dash to make sure, like, if it's just like a one-time thing to end the working group, then we can hack something together with CSVs or like do a one-off analysis. But like for a more sustainable like A/B testing framework in Periscope, that would take longer and to figure out with Dash what that looks like.
So let's get initial results from Kibana and work on getting Periscope as a sustainable long-term framework, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see some data next week. For 4B, the onboarding improvements will be behind a feature flag in 12.0. So that's going to unfortunately not be launched until June 22nd. And the soft email confirmation is obviously still in design and development as well. Working on the design in 12.0, implementing it in 12.1. So it looks like for a shorter term dissolving of this working group, we should really put the reCAPTCHA experiment through its paces if we want to dissolve this in, say, the next 3-4 weeks. Else we're going to move on to onboarding, which will take probably some A/B testing. Say if that gets released 6/22 to .com, it may be middle of July before we can actually get some results and dissolve the working group based on that one. So that's the update on the 3 experiments. Any other comments or questions on the experiments that we've identified?
Only that separately we're looking at other more robust A/B frameworks. So Flipper gets us through enough for the reCAPTCHA, but we're looking at better options for these other ones. So there's a separate issue tracking evaluation of different options.
What kind of timeline are you targeting for the evaluation to be done on that, Bartek?
By the end of next week.
Ah, okay. So this isn't a like a long-term thing. This is a really short tactical project.
Yep. So that's been in progress this week as well.
Cool. Okay. Anyone have any other agenda items today? Okay. Well, I think we can end early then. I'll upload the recording. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.